Yo, what up, Street Talks there, Kim? All right, so the thought. Don't just adapt, learn how to capitalize. So, what do I mean by that? So, what I mean is perhaps like to just adapt to reality or whatever, it seems a bit passive. I'm much more interested in this notion where perhaps instead what we could do is we could capitalize. So when life and everything gets hard and difficult, perhaps the notion of capitalizing is making the best of what we got and making the best out of the situation. So it's kind of interesting because to me, to be able to capitalize, it's much more active, it's much more empowering, and it's much more encouraging because if you just spend your whole life just trying to adapt, then you're not able to take your will and your force and then like kind of lay it into things, you know? So essentially what that means is take any sort of calamity, downside, difficulty, and figure out how to transform it to your own personal benefit. Now, this is kind of a good notion because if you think about capitalizing things to your benefit, then you less like kind of bemoan reality, you less like kind of complain, because I think one of the biggest downsides is I think a lot of us tend to complain too much. And this complaining, essentially it's because we haven't learned to transform and transfigure things to our benefit. So even for me at this point, my personal life goal is for me to take any sort of downsides I've experienced in life and figure out how to transform and transfigure it to my own personal benefit. That means, yeah, it essentially means to, yeah, use any sort of like negative whatever as a form to personally benefit and profit from it. So like, let me give you some practical examples. So first and foremost, I'm like living in this funny like apartment building. It's kind of like a cube. And during COVID-19, I've just tried to figure out how to capitalize on it for my own personal gains. So for example, I'm using this chance to be less distracted by capitalist consumerist things, which means I focus more on artistic production rather than focusing on, just wanting to buy stuff. Because now with COVID, consumerism's kind of a little bit out the window. Now, I'm much more interested in focusing on philosophical interests. I'm much more interested in creationism. I'm much more interested in philosophy and thinking about notions like universal basic income and stuff like that. And how we could just kind of use the weirdness and the randomness of life in a much more optimistic way. So for example, it's funny, like I was looking through my old GoPro Fusion 360 footage and I randomly came across my old cruise footage, like like maybe a year or two ago, me and Cindy went on a cruise and I shot some 360 footage. And it's funny because at the time, it was impossible for me to even conceive of the notion that COVID-19 would have happened. And I couldn't have even conceived the possibility of, like cruise ships being closed down or essentially a worldwide epidemic. So I think it's, I think it's a good thing that the world governments come together and be like, yo, let's ban cruise ships, because it's probably going to be one of the worst ways that to spread a disease. Because, you know, having personally been on a cruise ship myself, I did a Carnival cruise. All the people, they have the name placards in terms of what countries they're from, and you got people from all around the globe. You got people from the Philippines, you got people from like Africa, you got people from like Vietnam, a lot of people from Indonesia. So obviously, you know, you have, you know, maybe all of the passengers are from the States, but you know, it just takes one guy with it to infect the whole planet. So, you know, I enjoyed the cruise and stuff like that, but now, who knows, maybe, you know, for the next 10 years, no one's gonna be able to go on a cruise ship, or maybe all the cruise ships will go out of business, who knows? So I'm kind of using this opportunity to look back at my cruise photos and, you know, think about the Titanic and stuff like that, and thinking, maybe in life, whenever anything happens, we should treat it like it's the last time it'll ever happen. And I mean, even with life, that's the thing with life too, right? Is that nothing in life is certain. Anything that we do in life, it might be the last time we ever do it. So maybe that could give us deeper appreciation for essentially anything in life, right? Like, you know, spending time with your loved ones. You never know when they're gonna die, right? So using that chance as a chance to be grateful for that, and yeah, using this chance to be a little bit more playful and more joyful and gleeful in life, because sometimes in life we treat it a little bit too morose, we take it a little bit too seriously, and we don't really take the opportunity to be grateful for what we've done, what we've experienced, and so forth. So yeah, maybe the new life goals for us is to be more grateful, for us to consider more about the benefits that we personally have in life, and to extract the maximum out of our current circumstances. So let us not just think about just adapting and coping. Let us think about how to capitalize and transform anything to our benefit. King Midas touch.